Croeso sianel Blaid Llwyd. So there's Dave. It means we must be back at Hammond Manor. You thought it was all over?
It's far from being all over,
as the first doctor said. So, let's see what's going to happen.
That day was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. The pain, the guilt, everything hitting me all at once. There's so long of everything being planned out to prevent just that. Dave was dead. The memory of it was fuzzy. What happened next? Going downstairs, seeing him limp in Tyson's arms. Orlando wading into the night sky. It was awful. We were so busy thinking about every other way they could have gone bad, and the simplest outcome was what happened. Well, to make matters worse, I couldn't remember the details, or other bits and pieces were left, or up to Thanatos to remember. It all came back to that one memory I had, a strong memory from a long time ago. I only know it's one because Thanatos told me. The worst part is I could still feel the fire prickling at my skin and fur. I could smell the smog and ash clogging my nose and making it hard to breathe. I could hear Tyson screaming up above. I could taste the blood in my mouth when I'd coughed it up. Amidst the heat and pain, I knew where I was. I just didn't know why. Thanatos was there, but... Are you there, Hypnos? He wasn't talkative. He wasn't really much of anything back then, apparently. Just watching, waiting, listening. I think I'm the last one alive. As much as the smog made it hard to breathe, I was able to laugh. A cold and bitter laugh despite the fire raging in the house. It was a cruel reality that landed us here. Events far outside our control. Hey, did you know this was going to happen? He didn't give anything away. Instead, just watching still. I need a favor. Please. He was listening. If I die, when I die, if you can save them, if you can save my friends. My vision was fading fast, but pleading for salvation from a robotic rat was all I had left. If not now, then for some time later. I knew what he was and what he was meant to do. So if there was any chance, no matter how small, I had to gamble on it in hopes that things wouldn't turn out this way. Hypnos, despite everyone else dying, you're going to live on, aren't you? You're not going to die. You're just going to... He came closer. I assumed it was a show of affection, that he knew what was happening. You should have been called Thanatos. Thanatos. He mimicked my voice back at me. A side incline of his head gesturing that he parroted back the question. A god of death. Not sleep, but if you can't die, then... I am a god of death. So please, Thanatos. Save my friends. I opened my eyes slowly. My head was hurting. So, good morning. Thanatos, I'm not getting up. But Roswell, it's time to get up. I could hear him scrambling from the floor up to the top of the bed, and I rolled over in an attempt to ignore him. I'm not ready to be awake yet. Sure you are. What day is it? Good question. Let me check. I could hear the murmur of him checking his memory for a few seconds while proudly declaring the answer. I how we've been measuring, this is the 23rd day of this iteration's experiment. So yesterday? Oh yeah, totally knocked you and Dave out. Why? I thought it'd be funny. Yeah, hilarious. Oh, like no, you're fine. Dave's probably fine. What do you mean, probably? Has he not woken up since? No? I swear, if you'd done something to him. I guess no way. You know I wouldn't. On purpose, anyway. Do you know what happened after I put you under yesterday? More or less, I think. Tell me. I woke up mid-afternoon, sometime before dinner. Oswin was here, injected me with something, and I felt a little better. What else? Well, I slept for a little more. It gave me a dose, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Just waking up. Alright, good. So we know that's a way to get you up and going again. Hey, I need you to check something for me. It might take a little bit, but it's important. What? I need you to check your memories when Dave dies again. Because? I resonated again, somehow, for some reason. Well, look at me, I didn't do anything. I know you didn't, and don't need you to explain it again either. I'll explain to Dave then. Is it happening to him as well? I think so, hard to say. But it's no problem, I can totally go check my memories, all that bad stuff. What are you going to do in the meantime? Go back to sleep? Well, I do all the work. Fat chance I let that happen. He kicked me lightly in an attempt to move me out of the bed. Oh, your ass. You know I can't move it myself, otherwise I would. You're not my mom. Are you, Dad? Right, so? So get up, please. What's wrong with sleeping a little longer? If I have to get working on this experiment, then you do too. Anatos, you don't even sleep. I sleep. Enough. Spoken like a true college student. Even the guy doesn't know what that's like. I smirked, though I faded fast on remembering why that was. True. Sorry, I was autopilot for a moment. It's fine. Do you know who else is awake? Yes, us, Oswald and Benson. Everyone should be in their rooms if they can deviate to what's happened before. Alright. I kicked my feet out lightly from under the covers to start to get up, pushing myself to a sit and then rolling forward till my feet touched the carpet. Where are you going? Go have a talk with Oswin. I'll be quick. Fair enough. Let me know what happens with that, alright? You're going to stay here after all? Well, the bed is free. Maybe I'll use it to get some sleep in. I roll my eyes. I change out of my pajamas into proper clothes. Please do the search for me. It's important. Don't worry. I'll get down to get my voice set correctly for Dave. You're really not letting up over that? It's what Dave knows. If I did anything else, it'd just ruin the fun. You're weird. Have fun talking to Oswin. Then, before you go, how's my voice? Sufficiently ominously robotic? It's very unnecessary. I'll work on it. If I find anything, I'll come find you. Forgotten just how cold the house could be so early in the morning. Many times in my childhood, I'd gotten up early and wandered around. Having a house to yourself would do that. No other kids around, no parents, though Benson and Oswin were close enough. Benson seemed always watching. Oswin occasionally hovering off to the sides if I was some strange creature. Even the hidden passages, I knew them all. Though knowing them all was not all that impressive when there were only the three. The one here, the one in the basement, and the one just outside the kitchen. They all linked up anyway. With the exception of this. This strange door that looked like what Thanatos had also existed in the library, but on different systems. Thankfully, the code to this door was easy enough. I didn't understand the full weight of why. Part of me didn't care enough to ask. Mom was Oswin's sister, after all, or at least how close enough they considered each other family. Finding was the password to this door in particular was a mystery to me. Not that it really mattered anyway. The whole concept of family was a strange one for me. With Dad working long hours and Mom doing the same, I was used to just spending time alone. Keep the place manageable enough without being messy. Get my homework done. Simple stuff. More often than not, I found myself dropped off in this very house for long periods of time. Semi-homeschooled by the owner of the bore here. No chores were handled mostly by Benson. I stepped into the lab. I could see Oswin there already looking to the door. The place had been closed off, but a quick entry of the door code into the panel beside to release the lock. Good morning. I grumbled something back and wandered closer, dropping myself in the open chair beside him. Oh, not happy to see me? Oh, it's not that. Yeah, well then. You always seemed so energetic when we were alone. It's almost like dealing with a tired Orlando or maybe a slightly caffeinated Dave. Still, he hurried over to the door of the lab and locked it again, ensuring we had privacy. You want to see a magic trick? I've been working on a new one. Yeah, magic trick? Now? I thought you liked magic tricks. I do, but of all the things you could be working on... The wind had been taken out of his sails and he sat down heavily in his chair, swiveling as he thought. So, no magic then. Fine. Sorry, if things were a little different I'd be interested, but... I had a dream last night, and I don't know what to think about it. Different to your other dreams? Well, Thanatos also here. He correct me and saves the memory. Ah, I see. So, they're getting worse. Or maybe not worse, but more vivid. I can't say I'm a fan of that. What do you require of me? To listen. Alright. I breathed in deep through my nose as I gathered my thoughts. Looking around the lab, I tried to focus on anywhere other than the pair of eyes staring at me. I don't know if what we've been doing... What I mean is... You can just say it. Thanatos isn't here. I'm having second thoughts. I'm wondering if maybe he lied. Well, I can tell you for a fact he wasn't invented to specifically double-cross you or even really think of half the things he does. Right, he was just meant to be a friend. But now you've questioned it, other things are a bit muddied, right? One way to say it, sure. One of his drawers, he pulled out a small piece of wrapped candy and handed it over to me. After I'd taken it, he grabbed one for himself and started unwrapping it idly. You know, Roswell, things are bad enough. You wanted things to stop, you could still stop them. I know, but what would the cost be? Not one I'm willing to pay, mind you. He regarded me over his glasses with a piece of candy still half unwrapped in his fingers, mine untouched. It's unlike you to tear down a piece of candy. I unwrapped it the rest away and put it in my mouth. Something fruity and sugary, the faintest hit of tartness that made my mouth pucker as I rolled it to rest against my cheek. That's better. Oh, it's just... You being here makes things so much more complicated. If you weren't, I could have just, gone it down and lived with the guilt for a couple of weeks. That'd be that. I'd be dead, but everyone else would be alive. It's not that me being here has really stopped your attempts, however. Even attempting Benson's murder, no doubt. Excuse me? He looked at the door as if making sure it's still closed before sliding closer to me, bringing his voice low. I know your determination to save your friends is that strong. But you'd willingly shoot Benson? You'd even consider making him a target? Does it matter? Dave stopped it. And it's not as if he's one of my friends. He grabbed me hard by the ear, hard enough I squealed in pain, but was just as quickly pulled into his chest in some awkward hug. Now you listen here, boy. Benson is family. You do well to respect your elders. Why in the pause? To be frank, I don't think he'd let you kill him. Let's see. Well, let you kill him. If he did, what's the problem? You said yourself you didn't want me making my friends murderers or me living from the guilt of killing one of them myself. I know you won't always be that warped in your logic. Where is your compassion? You try and deal with these nightmares of seeing everyone dead, Oz. How about you deal with the prospect that countless times you don't even remember you're responsible for the deaths of those you care about? Watch your tone. Worst part? I still don't know if I'm doing it right. If I screw up, everyone dies. I'm stepping in watching everyone die or choosing to save any number I can by doing awful things. He relaxed and I pulled away, dropping back into my chair. It's not fair, but what choice do I have? You don't need me to tell you've always had a choice, Roswell. I just wish the choice was better. So do I, Roswell. So do I. I should maybe go get coffee or breakfast or something. Before you go, are you still fine with coming with me into the woods? Sure, it makes sense. I don't know why you'd want to double check that. Because it's polite. Also, I just want to make sure that you actually wanted to come. I have something important for you. And give it to me now? Not while Thanatos is around. He's always going to be around. He's going to be around long after I die. You die long after everyone dies. And won't remember and tell me anything relevant anyway. Not this. This is something I'd rather you not hear from him. In any loop of this universe. You're being weird, but fine. And Thanatos is going to be weird. I guess you get a pass too. Why, thank you, my dearest nephew. On the topic of Thanatos, where is he now? In my room, checking his memory for me. He seemed to contemplate on that, almost wanting to say something, but he held back. If he wasn't going to be prying, then I wasn't going to offer anything. Did you want anything from the kitchen, Oz? I could hear him mumble under his breath. Something about me calling him uncle, but I ignored it and waited for his reworked answer. No, thank you. I shall see you later, Roswell. I made my way back to the passage and closed it behind me once I emerged from the basement. It was quiet, but I could hear movement. And yet it started to arise already, and something happened. Each step I made heading upstairs towards the foyer was made carefully, just in case. Peering around the corner where I'd emerged to check who was about, my breath caught in my chest briefly and I pulled my head back. It was Dave, pacing back and forth, lost in thought. I just watched him for a bit, wandering around without having noticed me yet. At some point I figured I waited long enough and made myself known. Dave? Roswell? Quickly looked around for someone or something and sighed in relief upon not seeing whatever it was he was seeing. For a moment I thought, well... Thought what? Thanatos, after yesterday? Ah, that, right. I could see the expression he's giving me, somewhere between suspicious and concerned. But honestly, I had my own worries. Hadn't he figured it out? Had Thanatos let something slip? Without often being partnered up with Dave, I just had to trust he had things under control. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I'm feeling, well, better than I did yesterday, that's for sure. Do you know why? I'm shy of bed rest. It'd like to be something Oswin drugged me with. So it'd take some time to kick in, but it should get me going. Wait, when did that happen? It seems Thanatos was telling the truth. Dave was fine, but must have been out of it until this morning. When? Guess it's been something after you found me in the rec room? After he knocked me out, you mean? After he knocked us both out. But you woke up sometime after that. Yeah, it was when injecting me with something. He really needs to stop doing that. You know how much better I'm feeling by comparison. I think I'll be willing to give him a pass on it. So, no Thanatos and no idea why he did what he did? No Thanatos. Was Dave expecting to see Thanatos? And I think it all happened to him between what had happened back then and now. Maybe keeping him conscious was the way to go after all. At the very least, he couldn't do anything to put himself in danger.
Roswell.
Sorry, maybe. That's a short answer anyway.
And the long answer?
Do you remember much about what happened when you came to the rec room yesterday?
I showed up, you had a medal and said...
It was a trap, yeah. I wandered over the stairs and sat down, cradling my chin to try and puzzle out how Thanatos had thought guiding me there in the drug-addled haze was a good idea. Admittedly, I don't really remember how I got to the rec room, just that I was kind of in a daze. I remember running to Thanatos somewhere just outside my room though, and he must have led me there.
And the medal?
That part I remember. He handed it over to me shortly after I collapsed into the beanbag.
Alright, and the medal is... where now?
In my room. When he handed it over, I remember him saying something like, now we just have to wait for the hyena to show up. And a few minutes later, you did.
You knew it was a trap just from that?
Tell me, Dave. I don't think throwing you a party upon your arrival was the plan.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Internally, I breathed a sigh of relief. There's one constant I could plan around, is how readily Dave was willing to let things go. Infuriating for any number of people, for sure, but really convenient when the poor guy kept putting himself in harm's way. I didn't think the trap was going to be a literal sound trap, though.
What's he get out of knocking us both out, though? Why was I out until this morning, but you were woken up?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe because I was being medicated was why I woke up, not that I was awake for long before sleeping again. It was something I'd have to bring up with Thanatos again. It wasn't a good reason why Dave would be unconscious that much longer than I did, unless he'd done something different to him. But given we were both in the room when the sound trap went off, I had no idea.
I might take a page out of Tyson's book when I see him again. Thanatos needs to stop being a jerk and knocking people out.
Catch him off guard near an open window and you might be able to enjoy a little bit of defenestration.
I'd probably be fine with throwing him out of the window, if only once.
I could feel my eyebrows go up, the faintest of smiles crossing my face. You know what that word means? Before coffee, even.
Yeah?
He didn't seem convinced, almost confused somehow as to how he knew the word. Maybe he just got lucky. Maybe he forgot he knew, but he ended up just shrugging it off. So what happens now?
I did have something I wanted to talk to you about, actually. I'd really fine with going into the woods later with Oswin. For the Dominic thing, I mean.
Before I could reply, he shook his head, continuing within the briefest pause he'd allowed himself to breathe.
I know it makes sense for you to go. I know that it's all relative as far as it being fine too. What's your plan for if something goes wrong? Being lucky isn't going to cut it.
Where is this coming from all of a sudden? You're not normally so... alert? Or,
It's important, Roswell.
If you must know, yeah. That's kind of on my luck. Don't think anything else we can do really compares to what an organised crime family has as far as resources goes. I could see him go to speak up, but I shook my head, cutting him off much in the same way he did to me. You have Benson and the others. You can make a plan for the worst, but there's no sense in worrying too much about it. Just have some faith, Dave.
Faith.
He repeated the word and shook his head, awkwardly standing there still rather than joining me sitting on the stairs. Hey, can I ask a favour?
Sure.
I feel that with anything going on, it might be a good idea to keep tabs on Orlando.
Alright, what about you though?
Me? What about me?
What do you plan on doing between now and when you leave?
Well, I suppose I should get a contingency plan down. Talk to Sal and Tyson too when I think about it.
How come?
Well, I'd be able to help Benson the most. He needs the backup in case something goes wrong out in the woods. Rescue mission stuff.
Alright. But can we get coffee? I haven't had any yet, and this is a lot to sit on while we wait for the others.
We made coffee and sat in the dining room. Dave lost in his own head and only barely sipping his down, while I gulped down the sugary brew. I needed to be alert and brain working at full capacity. This was a problem that had to have a solution after all. Less that, I'm more nervous about what Thanatos might find in his memories. Was what I'd seen, the glimpses of it, real? Did I need to stop Dave from entering the forest at all costs? I left when the others all started to file in with the guise of needing to mentally prepare myself for later on. Oh, Dave's look told me he was suspicious. Something felt off about what was happening. Wrong, maybe different. It was worth consulting with Thanatos about it, or maybe checking with Oswin about it just to see what he thought. Thanatos? He turned to me mid-bound as he was jumping up and down on the bed. What? What are you doing? Taking a break from searching my memories. How'd breakfast go? Fine. How did checking your memories go? Also fine. A few moments of silence before he resumed jumping. That was going to answer my question. So what? I checked it. What did you want to know? Are we going to be running into any problems? Saving Dave? Oh, I don't know. Probably. What do you mean? That was the point of me asking you to run that search. Hey, don't get snippy with me. You just weren't specific enough. Now if you'd asked nicely. Antos, if Dave dies because you neglected to tell me what's about to happen. He won't. Calm down. We just need to do something. That something being? Here's the plan. You're going to go into the woods with dearest uncle, right? I groaned, palming my face and giving him a lazy nod. Perfect. How about we don't do that and make someone else go instead? And how exactly is that stopping Dave from dying? It's me, but if you're around, that's an extra set of eyes. Besides, the worst case scenario is that something happens, we get a do-over. The point is, we shouldn't need a do-over if we've already seen all of this happen before. Okay, but how's you going to the woods keeping you safe? It's not. That's why I volunteered. I'm going to die anyway. There's no stopping that from happening, mind you, so I should wear the risk. Then what about me? Why do I get a say in this? You do. You're the one who carried the message through time and space to me about wanting my friends alive. That's why I asked you to save them. We are saving them. Sort of. Well, it's becoming increasingly hard to believe that, when the way to keep most of them alive means murdering one or more of them. I collapsed on the bed. Thanatos still merrily bouncing on the spot on the bed he'd chosen. So our plan is to what? Knock me out? Well, that's going to work then, sure. All it takes is me swiping an injector in the lab and jabbing you when no one's looking. Well, we're going to need to hold off just a little bit. I've already spoken to Dave and Tony about Orlando to keep him out of the way. Meaning? Also, Dad's going to talk to Sal and Tyson about contingencies when I head into the woods. I should at least do that before you go do anything so my story stays straight. Fine. Imagine Oswin's going to be in his lab for a little bit longer anyway, so I'll need to wait until he's sleeping. Alright, sounds like a plan. Thanks, Thanatos. You're welcome. I'll run the search on Dave just in case. If all goes well, imagine Oswin's going to take Dean in with him. You say he knows how to navigate the woods, right? As far as anyone could, I guess. No point in my memory's been revealed to be on the ground level, so, I could have told you that. Well, you never know, could have been a long con. No offence to Dean, but he's not exactly organised crime material. Yeah, well, if anything goes wrong to this squad, he's still the best candidate to fix me, so we need him. He didn't mean that he was dumb, just homely. Anyway, I'll be back later. I'm going to talk to Sal. I got to the conservatory again and realised just how careless I'd been. The passage still being wide open when I'd taken it before. Thankfully, it didn't seem to be a problem for much longer. Good morning, Roswell. Oswin said he'd spoken to you already. Yeah, He shook his head, standing aside from the passage of assuming I was going to be taking it down. He's right, though, and I stepped forward and started to cross the threshold into the dark. Before you go, I had something I wished to say. Oh? It may not register to you, or perhaps you do not care, but I see Oswin as my son. You told me this before. And it warrants saying again, I implore you, do not go hurting my boy. I won't. His hand quickly found my shoulder and I spun around to face him. See to it that you don't. This is not a threat, though I'm not above threatening someone that poses a danger to my family. I gave him a funny look, eyes flicking the door before dropping my voice down to a whisper. Am I included on that list of family? He straightened, eyes also going to the door before settling back on mine as he went to the bookshelf. Including you, Roswell. Now hurry along, I expect you have places to be. I barely cleared the threshold of the passage before he closed it shut behind me. Just as well, given it's probably for the best people didn't start asking who was going where. Now, Benson or Oswald's a convenient excuse. With people too eager for Dominic's return, chances are they'll run the house was all mine. As I passed the laboratory, I found the door open and stuck my head inside. No Oswald where I could see. The first step inside was a mistake. Got you. Hey, put me down. He grabbed me suddenly and lifted me off the ground, though it didn't last from how I immediately tried to pry myself away. And without me doing anything, the strain in his face told me he couldn't keep it up. You've grown a fair bit. You're calling me heavy. I'm not. I was going to add that you're really unfit for someone who has a gym in his house. Mind your manners, boy. I am. You're the one who decided to lift me off the ground without any warning. Once upon a time, you loved having me pick you up. We'd go walk around in the hedge maze, have a look at the greenhouse, sit by the pool. Why are you choosing to reminisce now? He looked away slowly, taking longer than he should have to reply. I'm taking what chance I can. Meaning? We both know you're on borrowed time. On top of that, what's to happen later is very dangerous for us both. Tell me about it. Antos already suggested I don't go in with you. I'd be alright with that if I had my way. Really? Even knowing it's the right choice? Sometimes it's not about the right choice. Sometimes there is no right choice. I don't get the feeling you're not being obtuse for fun. Roswell, sure you can't be as blind as what's going on as you pretended to be. I'm not blind. I'm not deaf either. Then prove it. What is it that I'm referring to? It could be many things, but if I had to guess. I stepped away from him to sit down by his desk. Talking to Sal and Tyson could wait, and Oswin came to join me. You're talking about my motives. In a sense. Talking about how my decision to do nothing and watch all of my friends die, or actively kill one of them to save the rest. A horrible deed to commit the most good. And is it worth it? You tell me. He huffed through his nose, eyes narrowed behind those glasses of his. Can see what effect my sins had on me, boy. What I had to give up as punishment. You look miserable. What else? But you're still fighting. For something or someone, I don't know. For you, Roswell. Me? What? I could feel my body tense up and begin to shake. I didn't understand. I know that expression. You're worth fighting for, if only for a little bit longer. That what? Because you're my uncle? Because it's the right thing to do, and nothing more. Because I'm dying. Not entirely. Then what? I'm doomed to die. I'm living as best I can with what time there is left. It doesn't mean you should be fighting for me. There's no hope at the end of this road. So what, you're telling me to give up? Yes. Kind of. Maybe. I don't know. But why are you fighting for me? What do you get out of it? Only a reason to want to fight for my nephew? You're so caught up in saving Dave that who's saving you? I can't be. That's why I'm the best one to pick when it comes to collateral damage or sacrifices or being put in harm's way. It's just the most logical option. And you're really fine with that? I'm resolved with it, yes. That doesn't answer the question. What am I meant to say? I'm terrified that one day I'll go to sleep and not wake up? That day is going to be sometime within the next week when everyone's in danger? Roswell, that's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? He got up, wandered over a shelf and looked around for something. Then he suddenly stopped, his hand going to his pocket for returning empty-handed. I want you to try and remember something. Okay, what? Do you remember when Thanatos woke up? What he did? Yeah, he seemed to be a mess, and I felt bad that my little rat friend was upset. Do you remember what you did right after? Yeah. I didn't fight it. Then my uncle hugged me carefully and gently, like how he grabbed me the previous 2 times already. And do you remember what you asked of me one day out of the blue? Do you remember how scared you were when you asked? I asked if you could help me save my friends. Thanatos had finally told me everything. And what did I say? That you'd help. It wasn't going to be easy and there were going to be hard decisions, but that you'd help. I helped you because you mean a great deal to me, Roswell. I helped because at the end of the day I didn't want to sit by and watch people die again. Even after... The medical trial was a mistake by a naive man who threw caution to the wind to do good. I'm about to let you do the same thing if I can. I could hear him sniffle, though he didn't move his hands away to wipe away any tears were he crying. I don't wish to watch you die a pointless death. I don't wish to watch your final precious moments in my life be wasted away in despair from what she knows you care about die horrible deaths. You know I was doomed. If I saved them, I wouldn't be around to enjoy it. Did you ask yourself that question when you made your decision? Was it made in hopes you'd be able to spend time with them? No, just that they get to keep living. So if you say that you want to come into the woods with me because you feel to keep your friends safe, I will not fight you. I may not want it, but the decision is yours to make. You know something, Oswin? What, Roswell? A great wizard, you sure do make a great magician's assistant. Thank you, dearest nephew. I should probably go talk to Sal or Tyson or something. Try and make sure there's a plan in case things go wrong out there. Alright, but, before you go, may I make a selfish request? Depends on the request. Could you, call me... You know what, it's not important. Never mind. I wanted to close the doors. He seemed to make himself busy suddenly, stopping as I went to leave. Thanks for the hug, Uncle. He snapped up quickly to look at me, eyes hinting he was holding back from saying something else, or hoping I could hear whatever thoughts were going through his head. Unfortunately for him, as much as I liked the occult, I couldn't read minds. I just had to stay focused on getting done what I needed to before it was too late. I closed the entry into the basement behind me, hearing movement down here. My eyes wandered over the gym and I nodded, hopefully I'd find at least one of the 2 I was looking for in here. Hello, anyone here? The moment I called out, the smell had hit me. Not of sweat or anything like that, but the dust from the lack of use, now airborne from being disturbed. Oh, Roswell. How are you? Sal looked over to Tyson, who was busy lifting weights. Didn't even seem to register that had arrived, that we could wait. I'm doing okay. Just okay, though. Alright. Hey, I don't mean to bother you, but can we talk? Me? Yeah, it's kind of important. I can come back later if I'm interrupting, but, We both briefly looked over to Tyson, seemed to be in his own world as he lifted the same weight over and over in slow, repeated movement. You'll be fine for a while. Let's step off to the side. Given I should keep an eye out in case something goes wrong. We did as he suggested, and gestures I could start talking. Otherwise I hadn't really prepared anything specific. I want you to talk about later today, if that's alright. About you heading off with Dominic? Yeah. Alright, what about it? Well, I hate in the woods and the worst happened. I want to make sure it's a plan to, keep you all safe. Have you all been thinking about what to do? Admittedly, not really. Though it
would have been nice. We're still hoping for the best. Any plan we make assuming failure isn't great for morale at the moment.
What if something does go wrong? What if it's bad enough you have to act or die?
I understand, but perhaps don't go assuming things will be that bad. Though, realistically, things aren't great at the moment.
So, I want to know if I go out there, when I go out there. We have a plan in case I don't make it back.
Have you spoken to anyone else about this?
I mentioned to Dave. He's hopefully keeping Orlando distracted, but, you know. He nodded knowingly, looking over to Tyson briefly.
If you do not return, know that we'll be likely not wanting to move in case you're just late.
In doing that, you risk Memphis arriving instead.
It is a difficult situation to be put in.
Hey!
Oh, hello.
You two do anything interesting? Oh, great. I need to borrow Roswell for a bit. Me? Why? I don't want to explain it here. Just follow.
Is there a reason?
Gee, I'm sure there is, Sal.
Oh, well, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to ask what that reason is.
I'm inclined to believe he'll skirt around telling the truth, or flat out deny me anyway. I would ask to follow, but leaving Tyson unsupervised seems like a poor choice.
Ah, right, well, I'll fill you when I come back. I need to talk to Tyson anyway, so hopefully he's less busy. Yeah, can we go now? He led the way out of the gym towards the stairs. Then once we have stayed out of view of the gym, he scurried up onto my shoulder. Emerging from the side corridor, I checked to see if the coast was clear. From what I could see, Hoss and Dean were standing just outside the back door looking out to the woods. Anatol was pointing me in the direction of one of the side rooms, and I headed there quickly, just in case someone spotted him on my shoulder. Aye, what's wrong? What happened? He jumped out off my shoulder onto the back of one of the sofas and began to pace along its length. I took the moment to close the door quietly so I had a little more freedom to talk. We have a problem, a big problem. How big a problem are we talking? The biggest. That doesn't narrow it down. I finished checking my memory. It's bad. So Dave still dies. On the last loop, it was my fault. And before you go complaining, I already apologised. How did it happen? Well, I remember we went with my plan to knock you out. Which I'll remind you was against what I wanted. Way to have salt in the wound. Anyway, it's bad. Me took? Thankfully not. I shudder the memory of it. One of the first and with it more frequent nightmares I've been given by my rat. Alright, well, you still remember him dying that way, don't you? Yeah, in that shack out in the middle of nowhere. You don't remember anything about how you got out that way? Beats me. I only assumed Orlando and I went looking for Dave in the woods for some reason. Which is sort of what happens here. You just said there was no hook. There isn't, wasn't. You know what I mean. So what have we got to work with? I don't know, I wasn't out there. Tell me what you did see then. Dave just shows up dead, carried by Tyson out of the woods. I flicked him quickly on the nose and he reeled, fumbling, almost falling backwards on the cushions behind him. Start at the beginning, at the part where you knocked me out. Again, we're going to have issues. Naturally, I took the invitation. Hey! Anitos, you just admitted you screwed up. How do we fix it? Brat. Jerk. Fine, so I knew you not being able to go out. Oswin picked someone else. Makes sense, right? And the part that doesn't make sense is why he chooses Dave, right? Got it in one. I mean, there's really any other way that would have played out, right? Explain? Dave would be most likely to volunteer to keep his friends safe. The whole reason he finds himself in danger more times than not. Fortunately, this one was all on Oswin. Dean was ready to volunteer, but he chose Dave for some dumb reason. What was the reason? Some dumb reason. I don't know, never bothered to ask. In the aftermath, everyone's a mess. Oswin pulled you away pretty quick, but things went downhill fast. I was almost scared to ask, drawing back from the silver idol, but Thanatos knew to continue. Naturally, Memphis shows up. Bombs in tow, doesn't even bother to use them. What does he do? Dominic and Jack show up, kill Tyson without him fighting back. Still holding on to Dave. Orlando tries to get in the way of his dad and gets shot. Memphis torches the place with Hoss, Oswin, Benson, myself, and you still inside. And Sal? I don't know. I got offline so I can get tabs on him. Last I saw, he was outside. I wandered around the sofa and collapsed onto it, running my hands over my face. So I need to be the one that goes in. Well, that's exactly the takeaway I suggested, but options preventing Dave from going in, which removes that outcome from the board entirely. Or we enter a set of circumstances that make him better armed for going out there to begin with. Without knowing how things played out, we'd be guessing. An iterative testing takes, well, a really long time. I'll know if you really want me to, though. No, the goal should be the less iterations, the better. It'll be easier on you, easier on me in case it goes wrong, just I don't know the solution. Want my input? I don't promise I'll follow it, for sure. You going in is highly likely to end in your death. I'm aware. I don't think you do, Master. I do. But it's not my body expiring, it's being killed at the hands of people much more violent, stronger and healthier than I am. Wiles will not ensure my survival at any point. But if you're dead, how can you save Dave? I can't save Dave after I'm dead anyway. There's every chance the moment I die, a couple of days pass and a tragic accident I have no way of stopping happens to him instead. So it's all meaningless? There's no answer to this problem you asked me to solve after all? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I can only affect their here and now. I can make the best use of my life to give someone else a better one, even for a little bit longer. It just doesn't seem fair. Life isn't fair. It never is. I just have to watch you die. We get to the point that Dave survives, and that's it. We make that the prime timeline and repeat ad infinitum. There's no other option, is there? I thought you liked to gamble. Within reason. And get Oswin to conduct his own experiment. Make him mix up a cure and I'll remember the notes for him. Use me to save your life rather than Dave's. You hear differently from yourself. There isn't a cure. But there might be. I went to reply, but instead I found my mouth tightening in a grimace and the eyes dropping away. I knew there was a possibility, or was once a possibility. Not anymore, nor in order for this path to even exist. And you pointed out that sample was a bad idea. It wasn't just that you pointed it out. The closer I am to death, the more vivid my resonations are. The less I need to rely on you to just have them happen. I didn't expect you to inject yourself with a cryptococcus neoformans sample. But it did work. Treating me for meningitis symptoms is easy enough for Oz as well, though a body-wide fungal infection alongside whatever degenerative genetic anomaly is happening to me. Well, one of those was by choice. If you hadn't done that, Dave would have likely died already. There's never an option to not go through it if we didn't want to keep repeating those mistakes. I disagree. There's no point in stopping it now. So the plan? Keep Dave alive. And to do that? You tell me, Master. I'm going to set things up that Dave under no circumstances goes into the woods. Later, I'll go in with Oz. I'm just meant to watch. Yes, I need you to watch. If things go bad at him in the woods, you can tell me the next time we hit this point. And if I just never tell you about Dave's death? Then you're trapped repeating this over and over without end. It isn't fair. I just told you life isn't fair. What choice do we have? There's another option. What if we just leave? Let them die. Let them all die. But we just pivot into stopping anyone else from getting access. You mean like Memphis? Think about it. He's programmed in. What happens if he gets access to the vault? I don't know. Imagine what could happen if a megalomaniacal gun-toting beast got the ability to his own mistakes. What damage he could do. He came over and sat in my lap, squirming his way into a comfortable position, in turn making me rest back in a half-slouch. That's what we risk by doing all this. We save Dave, and then what? You die, we somehow make the timeline prime, but what good does it do if we end with Memphis in control? Has that happened yet? No, not yet, but it's been close a few times. What's been the deciding factor? He gets fed up and then destroys the place, and with it, me. At the cost of everyone else too, no doubt. You don't need me to confirm that for you. Just know they're in so much danger it's not funny. You never said it was hilarious. Just tell me they made the right choice. I don't think I'm quite built for right or wrong calculations. I just do as I'm told. And you told me to save your friends. So if I never asked? I'd be stuck watching this vacation play out over and over, watching you all die and it all ending in that fire. Oh, great. I picked him up and sat him back on my shoulder, going to the door to the room. You said in the last loop Dave died, right? Things are playing out the same. What do I tell Sal as far as a plan? Tell him a lie. Say that I told you it works out fine if they take the road, but they need to wait until the house starts burning before crossing the gap. And you'll believe that? He'll believe you. Whether or not he acts on it is another thing. But he won't question if you're lying. He'll question if I'm lying, but once you assure him that I'm not, we're good to go. And Tyson? Yeah, it's where things get tricky. Just be honest. Honest about? What do you want? Mention Dave and the simpleton will listen. Alright, time to go then. I'll drop you off in the basement. You'll go and do something. Maybe go spy on Dave and Orlando upstairs. Maybe go check in with Benson or Oswin. I'll figure it out. We headed back over, noticing Nadine and Horsan move from the back door. They hadn't noticed us, and once Seti downstairs again, we split off to do what we needed to do. Sal and Tyson looked up as I entered. Seems as though they were done working out. Or at the very least, Tyson had stopped. I'm sorry about that. Everything's, I won't say fine, but, you know.
So, what did he want?
Just tell me what's going to happen tonight with Dominic. Any good news?
I get the impression he doesn't typically give good news, Tyson.
Well, great. Sal, so what I was saying before about a plan?
Right, a plan. Did you have one in mind?
I do, kind of.
Let's hear it.
So, in the worst case scenario, you all need to escape by going by the main road. Fine.
But what about Orlando? Or the others?
It'll work. Thantol says it will.
I don't know.
Oh, he did say to wait until the house started to burn. Don't try it before then. So what, we let the house catch fire and then bail?
Presumably we're watching from the road for the smoke. I don't think he meant that we run for it after the house is already on fire with us inside.
As if I don't come back, remember. Hopefully I do. Know the safe way out. We can all just leave instead.
I understand. Though convincing certain others to stay put will be difficult.
You mean Dave?
I wasn't going to say it so bluntly, but yes.
On that, Tyson, can I talk to you?
About?
I think we should talk.
We're talking right now?
No, I mean, something more personal.
Okay. He means privately, Tyson.
It's alright, Sal. We can step out, maybe have a quick talk in the basement. It won't take long. With some coaxing from Sal, Tyson followed behind me into the basement and continued to lead them across to the vault. I was nervous, pacing as I tried to figure out how to approach this. Thanatos had said to be honest, so I just had to go for it. So, this is about Dave.
What about him? What did he do now?
No, nothing like that. It's something more serious.
Serious? How?
So, we both love Dave and want what's best for him. Hell, we all want what's best for Dave.
Your point?
When I go into the woods, there's every chance he's going to either want to follow or get in the way somehow. He's too selfish in wanting to keep everyone safe.
Well, yeah, what do you expect?
I need a favour. I need you to stop Dave from going to the woods by any means necessary.
Sure, easy enough.
His tone and lack of attention implied he was brushing me off, and I clenched my jaw in frustration. No, if you're going to follow through on this, you need to do everything you can to stop him. Distract him, keep him occupied with something, lock him in his room if you need to. If you don't, he'll die. The moment I'd said the magic words, I knew I had his attention properly. Dave leaves the house today, you won't get him back.
Bullshit.
Antos told me that's what happens. That's why it has to be me that goes out. I have a shot of surviving.
And you're saying Dave doesn't?
I'm saying it's proven if he goes out, he dies. Otherwise, Sanitos wouldn't have come tell me just before to tell you that it's going to happen.
I don't believe you.
What would it take for you to believe me? This is for Dave.
We don't like each other. I don't know if this isn't just some sort of trick. Wouldn't be the first time.
That was before.
Before what?
Well, I understood how much you mean to Dave.
What do you mean?
You're horrible to us as kids. But as little as I was around, I still remember. I remember the mean things you did, and I've heard about the other stuff you did after I left. You heard about what you were like to Orlando, too. He stood there quietly, eyes occasionally flicking to the floor rather than stay locked with mine. And somehow, despite all that, he's willing to defend you. Do you know what his argument against me was when I brought it up with him? About inviting you?
What?
You changed. You didn't want to acknowledge you did bad things. You didn't want to think about how that would have affected myself or Orlando. This you're important enough to bring along.
I have changed. Because of him.
Which is great. It's bad of me to assume after so long he didn't have a positive influence on you. That's not just going to make what you did back then magically okay. He went to speak, but I cut him first, pointing at him decisively with a finger. But you know what, Will? Keeping Dave alive, keeping him safe. When I found you were so entrenched in his life, I worried you were going to break him apart after I was gone.
I wouldn't.
And prove it. Do this for me and it'll be okay. That's what I want is an apology.
Fine. Dave comes first.
And I'm sorry for every wrong assumption I made about you.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry too. The shit I did as a kid.
I nodded and we stood there awkwardly in silence for a bit before Tyson gestured towards the vault door.
So, it's pretty messed up, huh?
What, the vault?
Yeah, they've been messing with David's whole vacation. Now we don't even know if we're even getting home.
You will. You all will. As long as there's just precautions taken. Dave's been too busy trying to save us. Time someone stepped in and actually tried to save him rather than, well...
Rather than what?
Just trying to keep him out of the way.
I mean, I get it, but yeah, I'm for actively doing something. Just actually try and get back, yeah? Dave's gonna be upset if you don't even try.
Don't worry, I want to come back. It seemed to satisfy Tyson. He left to continue working out for a bit. The Plan was to go drag Dave away from Orlando to keep him occupied, which was exactly what we needed. Hopefully it was enough. But that left me there, standing in front of the vault with my thoughts. What was I going to do? Would the plan actually work if I left with Oswin later? The more I thought about it, I ran through the possible scenarios in my head. Oswin would leave, get caught up at the other end as collateral. I'd maybe return, and if I did, everyone would get out. If I did a Memphis torture place, at least everyone would attempt the main road. They wouldn't be caught up with it not potentially working until Life Thanatos passed on that it would. I returned to my rooms and waited out the rest of the day. The door was slightly cracked so I could hear the activity in the house. Tyson came and collected Dave at some point and dragged him off somewhere. Orlando paced around the floor, nervous. Not that I could blame him. Thanatos was scarce, keeping himself busy with something or held up somewhere. I couldn't tell. The hours started to tick by with nothing happening, my own thoughts half drowning my perception of what was around me. Hey. I looked up and there he was, without Tyson. Hey, what's up? Nothing much, just taking a break from Tyson. He's been a bit, overbearing? A little. He does this sometimes when he's worried about something, or hiding something, or both. Any idea what? I have some ideas, but if I'm being honest, it's kind of nice. Makes me feel normal that everyone else is stressing out. That's something to be happy about, Dave. Oh, well, I guess you're not happy, just relieved, probably. Yeah, it's closer to that. It's bad enough seeing Orlando stressed out. Passed him on the way here and he was, struggling. Did he say anything? Tried to check in, but he just sort of made a sound. What kind of sound? Like a distressed gay sound. You know, an Orlando sound. That doesn't really narrow it down. You know, like that pitiful whine that I made sometimes, a more, you know, like a gay dragon. I was floored, choosing instead to stare with a worried smile. Anyway, how are you doing? Fine. For the most part anyway, considering what's going to happen. So, about that, I wanted to ask you something. What is it? I want you to come too. No. But I have a good reason. What possible reason could you have to justify putting yourself in danger? Besides, the deal is just one person to be collateral. Won't consider letting two people come to report back? Just in case? There's no reason why you do that, Dave. Besides, there's no guarantee he's even going to tell me where it is. So that's just it. We're back to waiting. Pretty much. Okay. I could tell by his tone he was planning something, but something felt off somehow. Are you feeling okay? Like, everything going alright? Peachy. You don't sound fine? I promise, I'm fine. Aside from the stress of today and looking forward to getting home making me a bit all over the place, I'm holding up better than Orlando at least. Okay. I believed him for a moment. It's better than trying to probe information of someone based on a hunch alone. Well, I'll get back to waiting. If anything happens, I'll, be around, I guess. He left, leaving the door open as he rounded the corner. Almost immediately, I heard Tyson yelling at him and then Dave barking back. Apparently, Tyson had taken my request to halves and making a big deal about Dave disappearing on him. If it wasn't for his own good, I might have felt bad. When everything had settled down, I headed downstairs to see how things were going. I could see the front door open with Hoss keeping watch. Out the back, there was still Dean. As I opened the back door, Dean turned to face me. Oh, hey, Roswell. Nothing's happened yet, just waiting still. Well, that's all right. He'll show up. I hope so. The waiting is starting to get to us. Hoss has taken watch by the front door just in case. Standing around together didn't really get us anywhere. Nothing to talk about? Well, that's part of it. Well, I'm happy to watch for a bit if you want to get a snack or something. Unless someone has relieved you already. Honestly, that'd be great. My tummy's been rumbling for a while, so just a quick snack would be great. You don't mind watching, do you? Once you plan on ditching me here for hours, I think I can wait for you to make a sandwich or something without being a problem.
Great. I won't be long, promise. Just something to refuel and I'll be good to go. Oh, but if anything happens, just yell.
He hurried along inside as I turned to face the woods. No Dominic yet, but he was out there somewhere. I looked over my shoulder at the house, thinking about Dave, thinking about Oswin, thinking about everything that I'd done and tried to prevent happening, only for us to end up here. And towards his words from earlier echoing in my head. My eyes drifted through the forest. I thought about it. A gamble. Everything hinged on it being a gamble that I'd win regardless. If I lost, there were contingencies, so really it wasn't all that much of a risk on my end. At least not when you consider infinite permutations. As I found myself stepping off the steps onto the grass and taking a look behind me at the mansion, there was still a moment of hesitation as to if I should stay or if I risked it. I had to risk it. The longer I left it, the more chances I gave Dave to try and weasel in on coming along later. I already knew he was planning something. The sun had begun to set, so things were only going to get darker the longer I was out here. No Thanatos, no map or flashlight. It was just me and my luck. I must have moved quick, because I didn't hear anyone calling for me back at the house. Maybe they hadn't realised I'd slipped away. I was surprised by Dean's lack of concern with me not where he left me. Maybe something had happened? It wasn't too late to go back. I'd have a hard time explaining my rationale why I left in the first place.
And don't? Oh, it's not that hard.
My voice sent chills up my spine. I could tell they were just in my head. Got to keep moving. Just have to be lucky and run into Dominic. Solve all of this long before it can be a problem, and everyone stays safe.
That's flawed logic, Roswell.
I know it's flawed, but what choice do I have?
You always have a choice. There's always a choice, but you're struggling to comprehend the weight of your actions and the sins clinging to your back.
My eyes narrowed. I rubbed my eyes to see if I was hallucinating. Nothing. It really was nothing. Raising myself against a tree, I breathed out, squinting in the dark to see if there was anything I could go off. My eyes weren't the best. My ears could hear water somewhere nearby. The only scent I could get was loamy soul and mushrooms. Dominic? A cautious whisper in hopes he'd find me instead of the other way around, but to no avail. After more walking, I came across a familiar sight, wandering over to an overturned log and sitting down.
You know, this is where you made a big choice that influenced how things turned out.
I know.
You put yourself closer to death, wore more trauma to try and save your friends.
I think Dave's method was better, if curated by Thanatos.
Perhaps. Though, do you regret it?
Despite hallucinating God of Death, it was the correct call.
Who says you're hallucinating?
Me. Giving you look like something a mashup between a video game character Orlando told me about and some abstraction depicted by Dave. I clutched my head. Was I losing it? Was this a sign I was right on the cusp of actually dying? The sounds around me were off somehow, quieter. Turning to look around, I saw a large figure moving about the trees heading towards me. Hey, Dominic. He raised his eyebrows, eyes flicking over the direction the house was in.
Well, this is unexpected.
Don't worry about it. I just figured I'd come out instead of waiting for you to come back to the house.
The deal was Roswin, not his kid.
Nephew.
No kidding?
So I can be collateral enough, I guess. Just wanted to make sure no one else was going to go in my stead.
Don't think the boss is going to like being shortchanged who he's after. Plus, who am I showing the route off the mountain to?
Well, show me. I'll just use my psychic powers or something.
Pigs have those.
I'm hoping I do. You never know.
Well, I'm heading to the mansion. I don't need the boss on my case for screwing this up.
He turned to leave and I jumped up, grabbing at the fur on his wrist despite not finding a good purchase on it to stop him properly. Please, just take me. No one else.
Give me one good reason.
I had to think fast. That'd be something I could offer that made things easier for him. He's all about the easy jobs. Hostage.
Go on.
You know, Memphis is going to try and play his exchange as some sort of, I don't know, insurance he gets what he wants, right? What's stopping Austin from refusing to cooperate once we leave? I could see the gears turning in his head, thinking it over. So you take me, then go get the others to the exit, then trade me for Oswell when it's over.
Oh, I think the boss would like that. Any chance to hold something over someone else he usually takes.
The expression went darker compared to his normal gruff facade, reaching back and flashing that he was armed.
Any funny business, though, and this is getting used.
Completely understandable. Good measure, I flashed him a thumbs up and a smile. The moment he turned and started to guide me away from the house, I inwardly groaned. Surely I wasn't becoming more like Dave, was I? We continued on in the dark, silent. After all, we didn't have anything more to say to one another. It was just a business transaction. In the corner of my eye, I could see my hallucination flickering in and out of existence between the trees, watching me carefully every time I felt my chest tighten. Was it a heart attack? Tiredness? How exactly was I going to end up going? Part of me hoped it was peacefully in my sleep, but now just thinking about it scared me. Would I just go to sleep one night, blissfully unaware, and just never wake up? Would I make plans for the day after, and then that was it? I was roused in my thoughts and my hallucination trying to weigh me down, and slowed my pace to follow the direction he was pointing. Somewhere in the opposite direction we were headed, towards the darkness.
Roswell, where are you?
My heart sank, and Dom wandered back the few steps to stand behind me. One of his hands fell on my shoulder and dug in painfully tight.
Roswell, come back! What are you playing at?
Nothing, I swear.
What kind of dumbass comes this far in the woods at this time of night?
Well, someone with a death wish, obviously.
Not what you're hoping for? We're going to do you a favour and kill you?
I was hoping we could make good on a deal from earlier. Whatever he's doing is just idiotic. Just ignore him. Let's just keep going.
I risk leading him and who knows who else to right to where you want to go? No chance. Not taking that risk.
So, what are you planning on doing? He pulled out his gun and spun me to face towards where I originally turned to look for Dave. Mellowed with his gun on the back of my head, hands still tight on my shoulder.
March.
We started walking. Every now and again Dave would call out and we could tell he's getting closer. Or maybe we were just getting closer to him. Each step we took was quiet. Dom must have been listening out for anyone else out here.
Roswell!
He turned to face us as we stepped into view. Despite me being held at gunpoint, he seemed calmer than I expected him to be.
Let him go. Now why did I go ahead and do that? Beat it, kid. You're not supposed to be out here.
You meant to come back to the house. Instead you kidnapped Roswell. Dave, go back to the house. Everything's going to be fine, I promise. I don't believe you. Everything's been off today. I don't know what it is, but ever since I woke up this morning, ever since... on cue, we started to space out, thinking about something. Dave, I'm not kidding around. This guy has a gun, pointed at the back of my head, and I'd really like if you just went back to the house and just stayed safe. Please?
I can't do that. I can't say I have backup or a plan or any way of knowing which way back to the house is, but...
In some poor attempt to seem bigger than he actually was, he puffed out his chest and breathed in deep.
I'm not scared of you, or Memphis.
I felt it shift from the back of my head, the tip of Dom's gun. I knew exactly where it was going and I had to stop it. Dave had to live, otherwise everything would have been for nothing. Dave, run! But he didn't move, even with the gun trained on him.
Last chance, kid.
He still didn't move. I had no idea why Dave was being stubborn, but he was, and he was going to get him killed.
Not without Roswell.
Digging in deep, I growled and yelled out, yanking myself free of Dom's grip and going for the gun. Are you doing okay?
Huh? What do you mean?
You just kind of trail off there and you, whatever we're calling this?
Sorry, I guess things are still just piecing together in my head.
So, does that mean that's the end?
No, there's still more. Let's see. I think... Oh, I remember now.
Well, all right, just... If we need to stop, let me know, all right?
No. This part's important, I promise. As I opened my eyes, I found myself tucked into my bed. A light slap on my face confirmed I was awake properly now, and carefully sat up to get an idea of what had happened. I was ending to go off. I was in bed, everything was as I left it. Someone must have brought me after finding me passed out in the rec room. I checked my phone to see what the time was. I'd somehow slept the day away and it was now morning again. A groan, I'd rolled out of bed and wondered if there's a way to stop myself from sleeping so much. As I sat up, the world around me shifted. Memory started to flood back to me while my eyes were even open. Clutching my head, I wondered if something Thanatos was doing to me or I was just falling sick with something. Roswell was... Did I... What happened? In a daze, I put on clothes. Something in the back of my mind told me I wasn't meant to put on the orange hoodie. Or maybe because I knew I wasn't going to anyway. On autopilot, I made my way downstairs. It was quiet, hinting that I was the only one up. I could think of the memory of the fire only vaguely in favour of what I was thinking of. Roswell was in the woods? With Dominic? Roswell. I sharply turned my head towards the corridor, heading towards the basement, and found myself hurrying over. Dave! Roswell. I didn't need to look for Thanatos. I knew he wouldn't be there already somehow. I stepped back so he wasn't standing just at the top of the stairs, and he followed me out to the foyer properly. You're looking better than you did yesterday. Did the thing Oswin give you help? Something told me that was the right thing to say. Something vague about Roswell having been drugged with something while I was still unconscious. I had no way of knowing it, but Roswell's expression told me that I was right. How did you... Just give me a sec to figure something out. I sat down the stairs and tried to figure out what was wrong, what was happening to me. This was all familiar, some sort of strange déjà vu experience, but way more vivid. I could remember this conversation. I can remember what else happened today. Dominic is coming today, right? Yes. Okay, and where's Thanatos? Well, beats me. My eyes narrowed on him slightly, my grasp on how this conversation was meant to go slipping. Defenestration. He needs to be thrown out of a window. Roswell went to say something, but looked stunned instead, awkwardly standing there instead of sitting down. Hey, can I ask you a favour for today? Depends on the favour. Orlando's probably going to be a mess today, you know, with everything going on. If it's no trouble, would you be able to keep tabs on him for me? I was gonna, ask me to do it, right? Dave, what's going on? Something's not right about this. You tell me. I don't know. Did something happen? Again, you tell me. I don't know. I just remember things. I got up suddenly, thinking it over. Make you 2 favours. Get the coffee going, please. I just need to check something really quick. I was gone before he got his retort out, heading downstairs 2 at a time. Between a secret passage and going to the vault, I started to go towards one before settling on the other. The passage opened to me fine enough, something telling me this was the right way to go. Or maybe it's just I was being wary of Thanatos for the time being. I'd been down this way before, so I just had to find the right door. As I opened the door to the lab, I slumped forward in the doorway, looking around in the dim light. Back already? As he looked at what he was doing, what little smile he had faded immediately, replaced with something else. Dave, what are you doing here? I closed the door behind me, checking it was closed all the way before stumbling over. My eyes were trained on his pocket, a slight frown on my face. We need to talk. About? Roswell. Pardon? I dropped myself into the chair beside him and tried to gather my thoughts. So, today, you were going into the woods with Roswell, right? That was the plan? It is. Why? It's a terrible idea.
Excuse me, where's this coming from?
He'll die, Oswin.
Based on what exactly?
Vault vision? With a huff, he breathed through his nose and turned to his computer, tapping away the keyboard before shaking his head.
Nothing's been recorded for today, or expunged from the record. Though I suppose that's moot when the circumstances that would have been coded in might not even exist in this iteration.
I can prove it.
Go on then.
Nothing in your pocket. You're going to give it to Roswell when you went into the wood. It's a photo of him and his parents. He pulled the envelope from his pocket and placed it carefully on the desk, saying nothing. I love you. That's what it says on the back, the message you wanted to pass on to Roswell.
How?
I don't know, I just do.
Thanatos?
I shrugged, shaking my head. I woke up like this morning. Something felt off. I could tell Roswell was going to be watching me in the foyer. Vague memories about being injured and seeing that photo. I have memories of watching Roswell get shot in the middle of the woods.
Well, Dave, where do we go from here?
I want the truth. I want the truth from you in person as to what's going on.
What do you think is going on?
You and Roswell are related. He's your nephew? It means he's been here before, in other words. Without a word, he got up, wandered over the laboratory door and made sure it's closed while locking it from the inside. Then just as quietly he wandered over the side room and looked around, making sure it was empty. What are you doing?
Making sure a certain rat isn't around.
He continued his search, and only once he was satisfied he sat back down. No Thanatos?
Correct, no Thanatos.
So?
Before I say anything more, I'll need you to swear to me that what I tell you does not leave this room. Act upon it if you so wish, but in no way can this information be relayed in any form outside of this room.
And if I don't want to promise that?
Then get out. Those are my terms.
All right, I promise.
Swear it on your father. May he rest in peace.
I swear. The tension faded immediately, and he breathed out, rubbing the bridge of his nose.
You're wrong, you know.
About?
I'm not Roswell's uncle.
And that's the truth?
I swear it upon the life of the son that doesn't know the truth.
But that... Huh.
What?
I just remembered something Hoss said when you made yourself known that first time.
Ah, yes, that.
But Roswell really doesn't know?
To be frank, if he's come to that conclusion on his own, he's yet to raise it. His mother and I decided it was best to skirt around the issue.
But why? If what I remember of that picture is correct, then how could he not know?
Roswell was born the day my brother died, and the medical trial went awry. As you can imagine, the tragedy of what happened left me in no state to raise a child. So the lie we told Roswell that his father was no longer around.
But you are, though.
The same man that desired a family, that wanted to be a better father than the one he had, was no longer in a position to raise him.
But that was in the past, though.
In the time it took for me to recover, he was already properly settled and called another man his father. I had no right to take that away from him.
That's so sad, though.
You make sacrifices for the one you love, Dave. You more than anyone should know that.
He deflated in his chair, looking me over.
What other wisdom have you gleaned from this memory of yours?
If Roswell has been before, why lie about it?
Come now, Dave, you know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I don't want to believe it.
Then what would you believe? This was all just happening by chance?
No, but it's still something that's a lot to take in before coffee.
That makes two of us.
So if Roswell's been here before, he's Santos' master, right?
Well, it's certainly not myself or Benson.
Alright, any idea where he is now?
What are you planning on doing?
I just want to tell him what I remember. See what he thinks, if this is the first time I remembered, or, like, you know.
Please be careful what you share to him. If he relays what I told you to Roswell, what relationship I have with my son, as fragile as it is, could be ruined forever.
Don't worry, I swore on it, remember?
I trust you, Dave. Just be careful. If I had to guess, check Roswell's room, though try not to be too long.
I'll be back. We still need to figure out what the plan for later is. I just need to get my facts straight. I left the lab and entered the basement again. Roswell had a lot to explain. Without understanding what was happening to myself first, there wouldn't have been much point. I eased the door open to Roswell's room. Seeing everyone else was preoccupied with one thing or another, I was able to make the journey there unnoticed. Some were having breakfast, others were milling about just outside the back door. I was too distracted to really take notice specifically who was there, though. Thanatos was sitting on Roswell's bed and moving. No sign of Roswell either. Carefully I wandered closer and reached out for him, stopping just short for I heard him make a sound similar to a groan.
This is boring.
Lazily he turned to me and we locked eyes. Maybe he's expecting Roswell. Maybe he's just dazed in the way only a robot could.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Why'd your voice change?
This is how I normally sound.
So I have a couple of questions.
Sorry, I'm busy. I have to come back later.
I know Roswell is your master. He did a double take, looking past me at the closed door to the bedroom.
He's not my master.
He is. Oswin confirmed it. There's more important things I want to ask, so can we not play around with trying to trick me into wondering if Oswin is lying?
Now, why would I do that?
Why would you change how you sounded once you realised that it was me in the room with you?
I told you, this is how I normally sound.
I rolled my eyes, sitting down on Roswell's bed. So, question 1. Did you force me to have a vision last night?
No.
Alright, question 2. Do you know what's supposed to happen today?
Yes, Dominic will come later and collect Oswin and,
That's what I want to know. Who goes? I have conflicting memories.
Conflicting how? Actually, better question. What do you mean by memories? This happened before?
Yeah, it's strange. Like today's already happened before. Vague memories about how things were meant to go, but now it's different.
How different?
Well, I came downstairs and knew Roswell was spying on me, and he was going to ask me to hang out with Orlando today, but instead I asked him to do it first.
Interesting.
So, we have a problem. I have vague memories about me going to the woods tonight. It's all kind of jumbled up, but I remember parts.
What parts?
I remember the walk out in the woods with Oswin. I remember maybe leaving.
Anything useful?
I also remember a situation where I went to Roswell and Dominic in the woods. Roswell is held at gunpoint and is,
shot?
Yeah. Thanatos started at a pace as if he was thinking about something.
Give me 5 minutes.
He sat down and became very still, almost like he was when I first entered the room. Then after what seemed to be 5 minutes, he stood back up.
I don't understand.
What exactly don't you understand?
Your memory checks out. 2 iterations ago, you went out with Oswin to the woods and returned dead, carried in Tyson's arms. The iteration after that, I relayed that information to Roswell, and for some dumb reason, he went out instead.
And then got killed.
Pretty much.
So if me going out results in my death and Roswell going out results in his, then what option do we have?
Honestly, we could have another go at sending Roswell out. His problem was that he went out after you started acting funny, thinking he'd follow. Which he did.
Did I say why?
No, if I had to guess, it'd be your thing where you want to save everyone.
They're my friends.
Yeah, Mr. Hero Complex, I heard you.
So, what happens now?
Beats me.
Tell me something and be honest. Roswell, this whole time has been behind everything going on, right? To try and,
keep you alive, yes.
But why? Why me specifically?
That's not something I should answer.
I stood up and went to the door, leaving Thanatos on the bed.
Oi, where are you going?
You stay here. I need to go talk to Roswell. I locked Thanatos in Roswell's room, or at the very least closed the door on him to make his escape harder. Then following Orlando's voice towards the rec room, I looked in to see if Roswell was in fact keeping him busy. Roswell was sitting quietly next to Orlando while he talked hurriedly about something. It was clear this conversation was one-sided even while the video game was idling in front of them. Hey. The tone of my voice reminded me I'd yet to have coffee. I was surprised they hadn't made a move to get breakfast or was still downstairs. Not that it mattered.
Dave, what's going on?
Nothing, just checking in.
Everything all right?
Everything's fine.
Isn't he fine with how you're staring at Roswell like that?
I haven't had coffee yet. I'll get some in a minute.
Oh, sure.
Hey, Orlando, can I ask a favour?
Of course, what's up?
Can you step outside the room for a sec? I need to have a talk with Roswell, privately.
What about?
Nothing serious, I promise. Just important enough that I need to talk to him alone.
Dave, you understand what's happening right now, right? What's happening today with everyone being on edge and everything?
I know. This is related to that.
Then it can stay. It's important, then why does it have to be a secret from the group?
It only needs to be a secret until I ask Roswell some things. After I talk, then we can tell the group.
Promise?
With a nod, he stood up slowly, looking between me and Roswell and heading to the door.
All right, well, don't take too long.
And with that, he closed the door behind him, leaving Roswell and I alone. Roswell.
Dave?
I stomped towards him, confused, scared and angry all at the same time. When I got close enough, I dropped to my knees in front of him as he sat on the beanbag and grabbed him roughly by the shirt. I wanted to punch him. I wanted to hug him. I didn't know exactly where he landed, but he broke the silence first by putting a hand on mine.
Are you okay?
It's a question I wasn't sure I had the answer to, but I shook my head all the same.
How could you?
How could I what? It was you. This whole time it was you, putting our friends in danger, and for what? It was a dry gasp of air instead of a chuckle. I needed a glass of water or something so I could feel my head starting to pound.
To keep me alive? To stop me from dying?
He let his hand fall away and stayed quiet.
Say something, asshole.
I snarled, rearing a fist back as if to throw a punch. At once I felt Tyson's influence rubbing off on me. In the same instant, Roswell didn't even flinch, just looked at me with sad, tired eyes.
Go on, Dave. If you'll make it better, then.
Instead, I just grabbed him again, throwing my arms around him in a hug.
Did you ever think to tell me what was happening? Did you ever think that maybe I would have wanted the choice? You never listened. Thanatos just...
He shook his head, looking me in the eye.
Let's start at the beginning, I guess. Maybe sit down, because this is going to sound crazy.
At this point, I believe anything.
So, to start with, back when we were kids, I got sick and moved away. That's only half true. I just spent a lot more time here. A lot more time.
You're just going to offer that for free?
Should I let you tell me what you already figured out first?
No, I think we're beyond that.
And during that time, Oz made Thanatos for me as a friend. I could see anyone else while sitting on this mountain. But when Thanatos was turned on for the first time, he felt strange.
Strange how?
He was going through the motions, introducing himself, but holding something back. Only did he fill me in on everything, or at least most of what I assume he's lived through.
As in every version of this vacation.
And then some. Countless nights he'd tell me the different ways this all played out. Sometimes the vacation didn't happen, sometimes it did, even when it did there were variations.
Like what we do on what day, or
even who showed up. He told me of every possible permutation of things he tried to fulfill one simple promise I asked him way back at the start of his life. To save my friends.
By killing them, though. You can't expect me to believe for a second that this is okay. That explain this to everyone else is going to be met with, "Oh, okay, Roswell, I understand why you tried to kill us."
I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know what to do.
Maybe you're not listening to the rat that's trying to get you to kill your friends?
If I didn't, everyone would have died. That's the one constant that he says always comes to pass.
But killing people, Roswell, our friends, people we love.
And watching everyone die tragic deaths is better. Watching you die, then Tyson, Orlando, then Dean and Sal and Orlando. Watching everyone fall apart just because you died.
I flinched, unsure of how to take it. I didn't realise just how bad things were if I was at the middle of this.
My choice was between doing nothing, given Thanatos had said that trying to tell you met with failure, or doing something to try and save at least some of our group. But how'd you even pick that? How'd you live with yourself with that? I'm dying, remember? I can spend what days I have left guilt-ridden and then passing away, knowing at the very least the person who's terminally ill died first. This is messed up. The choice is yours now, Dave. You know, somehow, all of this. You know what my side is, and if you choose to condemn me for it, then you're completely right in doing so. Doesn't get off this mountain. Doesn't save us from what's about to happen. For what it's worth, I didn't plan Memphis's arrival. You still try to kill people. I rested back in my beanbag, looking up at the ceiling. I've no idea what we're meant to do now. Did you have any ideas? I think we need to tell someone. Someone that will be able to process all of this and help. You can't be doing this alone anymore. I haven't been. Oz helped set things up, arrange things. That we wasn't meant to be on this mountain. Well, so much for that. He knows you know, I'm guessing. I was going to talk to him again later in an attempt to figure out what to make of this mess, but here we are instead. What about Orlando or Dean? No offence to either of them, but I don't think this is really something they'd know how to handle. How about Benson? He knows, but hasn't ever liked Thanatos. Feels what he knows is too invasive to privacy and against a natural order. He's a robot. He's hardly natural as it is. Don't tell him that. I've tried, but it doesn't work. I got up slowly and stood there for a few moments while offering a hand out to Roswell to help him up too. Promise me you're not going to kill anyone else. Between now and when I die? Ever. Technically I haven't killed anyone, but I promise. No killing. That's not what I mean. I mean no more killing in any timeline. You go and tell Thanatos that it's over. Dave, doing nothing means you die. And if you die... And find a way. Don't become a murderer. Don't let yourself think that's the only way out. Find a way to make me understand, even if it means hurting me. But no killing. I'll see what I can do. I wandered over the door and opened it again, looking around for Orlando. Seems like Orlando has moved on. So I'll go talk to Thanatos and figure something out. You're going to go talk to Oz? Why'd you call him that anyway, instead of Oswin or, Uncle? It's complicated. We split off with the plan that Roswell would pick up where he left off with Orlando after relaying what we talked about to Thanatos, which left me to figure out a plan with Oswin, or at the very least let him know how things went. I'm back. He looked up from his computer at me, gesturing me closer. And? I still don't know what to think or feel. He just admitted everything. Yes, well, you know Roswell. Stubborn and childish like his father. He's going to talk to Thanatos about plans for every timeline moving forward. I trust Roswell will make the right choice. But you trust Thanatos? He's the one that's going to be relaying all of this forward. I'm going to have to. Even if the chance of him actually doing it is slim, I've got to try. For what it's worth, I commend your faith. Moving on, I need to find out what the plan is for tonight. Obviously me going is a bad idea, so is Roswell. I was thinking about that actually. How much of the trip into the woods do you remember? Not enough to be useful. I remember the walk out there, but I don't know if I was from when Roswell went out or when I did. I can make out some parts I can rule one or the other, but not enough. Nothing from when we reached the other end? What had been shown the exit? I don't know. Sorry. Bits and pieces still coming to me, but it's a lot to process. It can't be helped. Let's rule you out as an option. So we understand I don't want any of my friends in danger, right? Of course, but someone would need to go if we wanted to leave Benson in reserve here to ensure some level of safety. So the choice will obviously be Dean, right? He's the one best suited to navigating the woods anyway. Is that what you believe to be the right choice? I don't like the idea of sending my boyfriend out there at all, but he's the one with the most experience. If he's willing to go in, then it's an easy call, right? That seems reasonable to me. Though how's this going to play out with the rest of you while I'm gone? Well, presumably this is going to end up with Dean coming back and telling us where the exit is, and then we leave. Very well. And you're fine with this? My original plan was, well, to have Roswell come with me, then should the worst happen I know he was safe. Or dead. Yeah, being dead is a great compromise there. Given his sins and mine, I feel it appropriate he either gets out or dies trying. After all, you know what he's been plotting now. I'm looking forward to explaining this to everyone else. Then don't. I have to tell them something. One of their friends has been trying to kill them, and on vacation no less. And tell them after you're safely off the mountain. Or do you want to incite an argument when your focus should be on leaving? Grumbling and clenching my jaw, I shook my head. Good. Now is there anything I can do to assist further? Just tell me something. You're fine with Roswell doing all this? From the very beginning you knew and you were fine with it? Truthfully, no. I don't want to see that boy repeating my mistakes, but given our relationship, you should know what it's like. I don't understand. Imagine if David was still alive. Would he not give you the world if he were able? I went to argue back, but I found myself faltering. He was right, or at least my memory of Dad was that a man who would give me anything I could have needed or want if it was in his power to do so. Don't worry, Dave. There will be justice. There will be a time and place where all this is put right and you'll have your vindication. In my life. Which, all things considered, is a blessing. He picked up the envelope on his desk, sitting there from where we conversed before. I really should tell that boy I love him. Have you ever? Maybe not as many times as I should, or impressed upon how serious I was when I have. Then do it? You're right. Perhaps I should before I head into the woods. Absolutely before you head into the woods. You never know what's going to happen out there. He grunted and tore open the envelope, looking at the picture held within. I wonder how much of all this Flora knew when she was here the day of your arrival. You think she might have planned all of this? Planned? No. Had a hunch almost certainly. But given how Roswell turned out, it's hard to really know exactly where her mind is at. Spacey, but incredibly switched on when she hyper-focuses on something. Was she just visiting? Why was she here anyway? She's been here for a few days, checking in on things. At first I assumed it was just a visit, but who knows what exactly it was all for. Maybe she was waiting for someone. Maybe she was spending some time with her younger brother. Guess we'll never know. I won't. You still might should you make it off the mountain. You know where to go in order to find her at least. Oswald sighed and put the photo away, adjusting his glasses. Is there anything more you want of me right now, Dave? Some magical way that's not knocking me out to give me the space to process what's happening to me? Why do I remember things that didn't happen? Why is everything so vivid? I'm surprised you're having this reaction after using the vault so many times. If Sanitos is doing, then yeah, I get it. But it just feels different now. Well, I'd recommend getting something to eat and laying down. Take the moment to properly breathe and take stock of what you want to do. Or don't. Have a coffee and power through the day instead. I'll figure it out when I get to the kitchen. Plus there's still just so much else I want to think over. Maybe laying down is for the best. Oswin guided me out of the passage and we parted ways at the bottom of the stairs leading up. As I walked across the foyer, I could still see flashes of what was happening in my memory, making me stumble. I just had to ground myself somehow. Ground myself in a way that I could then base everything else off of. As I walked into the kitchen, I went to the coffee machine and grabbed a mug. I didn't pour myself a cup. Was it better to be alert on caffeine or have something more mellow to gather my thoughts? I decided on coffee. I didn't want to have tea, otherwise I'd potentially find myself falling asleep. Besides, I felt as though my mind was processing slower than it should have been, so I needed the jump start. Then I was back upstairs with my mug. Drinking deep from it, I sat it down on the side table and then lay down. My name is Dave Holloway. I'm on vacation with my friends. We're currently in danger because of Memphis, Jack and Dominic are out in the woods. I sighed, sitting up to finish my coffee. It burned on the way down, but I didn't care. Tonight I would have gone out in the woods with Oswin. He had a letter to give me and a message to pass on to Roswell. Then after that, there was a shack. Memphis was there. Shaking my head, I tried to grasp at the memory, but it was fading fast. But also, tonight, Roswell would go off on his own. I'd noticed and sneak away from Tyson to go find him. I'd been acting strange, because I could remember things I shouldn't. It also means that someone needs to go in tonight. Dean, probably. With a sigh, I sank into the bed just as the door to my room opened. Dave, can we talk? Do I have to get up? I guess not. Is now a bad time? No, it's
It's fine. Just gathering my thoughts.
After your private chat with Roswell, I can only imagine.
He told you what we talked about already.
I was hoping to hear it from you, actually.
Well, sit down. It's going to be a bit.
It is?
Before we get into this, what if I told you I figured out who was behind it all? Behind every vault vision, behind people being in danger.
I'd be asking who and what were you going to do about it?
What if I said it was someone in this house?
Then all the more reason we should be telling everyone.
Orlando, what if it was me? The prospect made him come to a screeching halt, and he tried to come up with some rationale that didn't seem like an attack on me. Well, that's what it looked like anyway. It's not, but that's kind of the problem, isn't it? He didn't seem to have any problems explaining away any wrongdoing I could have done, but if it was anyone else, well...
Is this what you talked to Roswell about?
We both kind of have it figured out. He knew before me, so I just had to give him a piece of my mind.
But who is it, though? Is it Dean?
No, it's not Dean.
Then?
Doesn't matter. What matters is... What do you think I should do with the information?
Well, if you and Roswell both know, it should be simple. We find out why they did it and figure out a way to use it to get off the mountain.
They did it to keep me alive. The worst part about it all is that if I were to die, everyone else dies too.
How? That sounds so...
tragic.
I was going to say anime.
Well, at least Hoss would be happy.
Dave, you shouldn't be saying after explaining everyone else dies if you do. How does everyone else die?
Don't know specifics, just that it's really tragic.
Of course it is.
Oh, and the other part? The reason we're currently in danger with your dad and stuff? Completely unrelated. Fate just has it out for us.
Seriously? It's all just bad luck?
Something like that, yeah. He groaned and sat on the floor, shaking his head.
So, what's the next step?
That's why I'm laying down. My head hurts from thinking about it.
You need to drink more water and eat something.
I will, eventually.
Dave, you know I love you, right?
I sat up just enough to look at him, the comment having caught me off guard.
Just, what if you want to tell me, I'll listen. I'm not understand or even really know what to say or do after you're done, but I'll listen.
Thanks. It's okay. I sat up fully, stretching out. So, someone needs to go in with Oswin tonight. I was thinking, if he's willing, we should send Dean in.
All right.
Just that? No questions, or...
Did you want me to be asking? No offence to Dean, he's fine, but wasn't the plan to send Roswell?
Yeah, so turns out doing that kills him. Same if I go instead.
Was this something you saw in the vault?
May as well have been. You haven't seen Dean, have you? Probably should check with him sooner rather than later.
Downstairs, probably.
Well, I go and ask him, is there anything else we need to cover, or are we good? He shook his head and I stood up. Seeing me make moves, Orlando got up as well. But before I forget... I hugged him hard, solidly around the middle. Oh yeah, as far as my arms would let me reach around his bulk. Hang in there, Orlando. Everything's going to turn out okay. We went downstairs together. We split off towards the kitchen, insisting I need to eat something. I headed towards the backyard where I could see Dean and Hoss waiting. Hey guys. How are you feeling, Dave? Good. Well, not great, but better than I thought I'd be. Even after yesterday? What? Took me a moment to register what happened yesterday. What he was talking about, and I hadn't actually seen them both since. Oh, with Thanatos. Not to mention missing breakfast. Yeah, I had something to figure out. And that something is? Just something with today, and that's all. I turned to face Dean, and when he noticed the difference in how I was standing, he did a double take. What? Dean, if you had to, would you go out into the woods? I'm sorry. Dave, what are you getting at? So the original plan was to send Roswell in with Oswin tonight, right? Turns out, doing that gets him killed. So you're going to send Dean instead? Not he isn't okay with it. Are you sure he gets killed? Yeah, he goes in and dies. If I go in, apparently I die. So, if no one goes, we're stuck with Memphis coming back. At least if someone else goes, we can avoid that much.
Indeed, because
I have experience.
Basically, yeah.
We could send anyone else, but you're the one that's probably the best odds to make it back. Well, you're right. I'm likely the one with the most experience.
He shifted uncomfortably on the spot, and I quickly shook my head. If you don't want to go, that's fine. We'll think of something, but I didn't want to just volunteer you without asking first.
Well, it sounds like we don't have a choice, do we?
Really, Dean. We don't have to send anyone if you're not comfortable. The look between the two of us was settling his gaze on me.
I don't like the idea of leaving my honeybee here while I go off into the woods alone, especially with how dangerous things are. But I'll do it.
Sure. Like I said, we can figure them out if you want to.
I'm not sure if I want to or not, but I feel like I need to. Can't be having others put themselves at risk navigating in the dark.
Or run into the mafia out there.
Well, that's a risk even I'm taking, so I don't think anyone is really safe from that risk.
I'm sorry, Dean.
Whoever gets us home, we'll call it even. If you still feel bad afterwards, then we can worry about it then.
Alright, sure. Hey, so, I brought snacks. It was a plate with sandwiches. Nothing fancy, but didn't need to be. I snatched one up eagerly, followed soon by Dean, who did the same. Also was a bit more reserved, and the four of us watched the woods for any sign of movement. Eventually, Hoss decided to keep watch out the front just in case. And then sometime later, Orlando decided to go join him to do the same.
So, you sure you're feeling alright?
Dean's question after a long stretch of silence almost made me jump. I guess. I'm still feeling it all out of it. Haven't been sleeping all that well.
Not to mention what happened yesterday.
I didn't know for sure, but in general, just a lot has been going on. You know how it is.
We're so close to the end of this vacation, but it hasn't really felt like one.
Once we're home, I plan on spending some well-earned time relaxing. An actual vacation.
You got any ideas?
The beach. I want to go to the beach.
Oh, been a while since I've been, but it sounds like a plan. We'll load up a car and just find a nice little place to rent out for a redo of this vacation.
Yeah. A fond smile found its way to my face and made myself comfortable against the railing surrounding the deck. Soon. It'll all happen soon.
What's going to happen soon?
Tyson and Sal came out to join us next, lingering by the back door. Nothing, Ty. Just looking forward to getting home, that's all.
How's the wait going? Oh, nothing yet. Still just waiting.
Hoss and Orlando headed out the front a while ago just in case they come from that direction.
Yeah, I'll go see how they're doing. I haven't seen Hoss since breakfast.
I flashed him a quick smile before he disappeared back inside, seemingly distracted by something.
He was in a hurry to leave.
I bet he just wants to check in with his friend.
And here I thought we were slowly becoming friends.
Tyson's just like that. Don't take it personally, Sal.
Anyone seen Roswell?
I was with him before I came out to check on you.
I saw him talking to Benson earlier. He had Thanatos with him as well.
On that, Oswin has just been in his lab, so he's accounted for too.
Good, no one's missing.
Not much else happened. The three of us keeping watch and idly chatting to pass the time. I felt I'd be nervous, but instead I was filled with a sense of calm. An odd sense of calm. When it started to get dark, I wondered if I should go find Oswin and see if anything had changed. Or was there anything else left unsaid from our previous talks? Not to mention Dean had done no preparation for his trek into the woods. I'd excused myself briefly to go retrieve my flashlight. The time I was gone, Oswin had shown up to ask Dean if he's willing to join him. Then spent the rest of the day in the dining room playing a board game with Roswell and Orlando. I floated between the groups, checking in with Hoss and Tyson only once. They were fine, just like Dean and Sal were, though I'd wondered where Benson and Thanatos had ended up. Dominic stepped out of the trees, the sight familiar in a way that made me reach slowly for my side. A dull ache forming there for reasons I wasn't quite sure of. He made the trek up to where we were on the deck and stopped shy of the stairs.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's all right, I'm just glad you came back.
He nodded briefly with a nod, looking between Dean's sullen eye. So we're heading into the woods? Dean held out his hand for my flashlight and I handed it over, knowing he needed it much more than I did. Oswin coming too? I'm right here. Oswin stepped out from the back door. Behind him I could see Roswell looking uncertain, but gave me a quick nod when he noticed I'd seen him. So it'll be myself and Dean accompany you tonight, Dominic. I trust this is fine? Suits me fine. So we head in, you'll show me the route of the mountain, then I'll come back? You got it. And you got some amount of time to scram before we pay a visit in person. Alright, well, let's get going. It's already starting to get dark, and it's only going to get darker. Stay close. Don't fall behind, because I'm not stopping. That waiting, he turned and started to trudge towards the trees. Wish us luck. If all goes well this night, whatever yours ends tonight. I'll see you all soon. Soon enough they disappeared among the trees, leaving us behind. There they go. I hope Dean will be back soon. I have faith that he'll do his best to return fast, but I feel soon might not be soon enough. I'll go feeling Hoss and Tyson already left. That happened pretty fast. I guess I'll go tell Orlando. Leaving me with what? Stuck with me, Dave. Oh, joy. Roswell passed Thanatos off to me, and with Sal headed inside. So, what happens next? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Is this the first time we've come to this far? Things are played out like this? Pretty much. If the goes all right, how to make sure it repeats? Will you just pretend you don't know? I'll have to run that by Master, but if that's what it takes. Well, my head still feels funny. You sure not doing anything to mess with me? Nothing outside the usual, I guess. And what's the usual? Wouldn't you like to know? Yes, I would actually. Well, tough luck. Either way, you should just go to bed. Who's going to wait for Dean to get back? Well, the others, obviously. He means me. Oh, hey, Benson. Been missing for most of the day. Yes, I've been on standby, mostly. He shook his head, patting me gently on the shoulder. But from what I've heard, you've had a fairly eventful day. It's been a strange day. I still don't know how I really feel just yet. And go rest, my boy. I shall await Dean's return, and should anything happen, you shall be fetched. You're not going to murder Thanatos while no one's watching, are you? Whatever would give you that idea, Dave? Just, you know what, it's probably fine. I'm going to go rest. Wait, you're not serious, are you? Rest well, Dave. I didn't think I was tired when I ended up reaching my room. My head felt like it was full of fog. Under my breath I kept mumbling things I knew to be true, like my name, where I was, what had just happened. Rest is what I needed. Just a chance for my mind to settle. At least that's what I kept telling myself. But sleep wouldn't come so easy. There was Dean and Oswin to consider. I couldn't afford a full night's sleep if they're going to be back in only a matter of hours at most. Or at least Dean would be coming back. Part of me felt guilty about sending Oswin off with a little fanfare. I didn't thank him or apologise or anything. Knowing where he was going, not doing it, felt weird. I had to tell myself they'd be fine, relatively speaking. There was no guarantee he was going to be killed, so that shouldn't have been my base assumption. I closed my eyes and tried to relax. Just a nap. That's all I needed to settle down. A nap. What I didn't expect was that nap to be so much more for me than just a little bit of sleep. And there we go. Now you have some more idea what's going on in the manor there. And what's going to happen next, right from Thanatos seems to know. So we will find out in the next password video that continues this story. I know there will be a slight break as Grizz is working on the other path and stuff. So I'll be filling in the Tyson gaps, get us more or less up to where we are before we return with the next extension of this story, so there'll be an extra password with Tyson bits in before that happens. And quickly, because this has been a long video, before I round off, as always, thanks to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. Very much appreciated, all of you. And my top patrons are Kajit Cook, Andy Peng, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Aaron Fox, Exac, Monale, Evan King, Marcus, Burnt Toast, Kartek, Gobers Visser, Esuksu, Lark Huskatton, Bastian, Brian Hall, Tiger Cub, Ida Corval, Anubis Silverwind, Dissonance, Spiderling, Kopi, Sindri Dragowolf, and Grizz. Of course, is the one we have to thank for password. And I don't know how far we have to go with videos now. I think we are very close to the end, just how things are playing out in the story. So we might be getting close to the end of this series. It would be strange not to be doing it, but we'll see when that happens. But that's it for now. I'll be back next weekend with another video. Until then, bye for now.